Funny how a place can hold a lifetime in its walls. When I was a boy, summers meant one thing: my grandfather's cabin at Crystal Lake. That place didn't just smell like pine and old varnish. It smelled like history. We caught our first fish off the dock, played cards until the lantern flickered out, watched storms roll in across the water while sipping lemonade so tart it made your teeth ache. It was more than a cabin. It was tradition, memory, and identity. And I would have done anything to protect it. That's why when Patricia Holloway's door was pounded on at 3 a.m., it wasn't satisfaction I felt. It was quiet resolution. The kind that comes after a long fight you didn't want but refused to lose. From my porch across the street, I watched children's services encircle her pristine white house. Their black vehicles blocked every driveway, every alley, every shortcut she might have used to escape. She'd ruled our HOA like a queen for nearly a decade, ripping freedoms like hedges that grew too high. But that night, she was cornered. Her high-pitched protests rang through the neighborhood as the court order was served, accounts frozen, assets seized, and most importantly, the fraudulent deed to my grandfather's lake cabin officially voided. 6 months earlier, I had inherited that cabin after Grandpa Theodore passed. It was a bittersweet moment, but it meant the world to me. Crystal Lake sat about 40 minutes from Metfield Heights, our suburban community. Thanks to some obscure land use agreement from the 1970s, the property technically fell under our HOA's jurisdiction. And Patricia Holloway, well, she had made herself queen of that kingdom. She'd served as HOA president for 8 years, and in that time had fined people for faded mailbox paint, grass a quarter-inch too tall, and one neighbor's wind chime being too melodic. So, I wasn't shocked when she showed up at my door less than 24 hours after the cabin became mine. She smiled the way snakes might, asking to inspect the property for compliance. I declined, pointing her to the grandfather clause in our HOA bylaws that protected structures built before certain regulations. She didn't like that. Her jaw clenched so tightly I thought she might chip a molar. She left, but the war had just begun. The notes started arriving the next day. At first, they were annoyingly petty, claims that my dock extended 2 inches past the HOA's limit, then that the cabin's trim violated the earth tone rule. The blue had been there since the 60s, but that didn't matter to Patricia. One letter fined me $100 for an unauthorized bird feeder. Another tacked on $200 for a non-compliant weather vane, a weather vane that had spun peacefully on the roof for 6 decades. I responded professionally, providing photos, records, and legal references. But logic was wasted on Patricia. Her goal wasn't enforcement. It was control. At the next HOA meeting, she launched into a theatrical rant about how my cabin, my grandfather's cabin, was dragging down neighborhood values. She claimed the handmade welcome sign on the front porch posed a significant safety risk. A few neighbors rolled their eyes, but no one dared challenge her. That's how dictatorships work. Fear keeps even the reasonable silent. Then things got worse. She changed the access code to the community boat ramp and conveniently forgot to tell me. When I confronted her, she claimed it was for security and demanded a $500 processing fee for the new code. Not long after, I started hearing rumors. Patricia was telling people I was running an illegal short-term rental business out of the cabin. It was laughable. But in suburbs like ours, gossip spreads faster than wildfire. Still, I wasn't prepared for what came next. A certified letter arrived from the county records office. I opened it casually until I saw what it claimed. That I had sold the cabin to Patricia Holloway for $1. My name was on the deed, my signature, but I had never signed anything. My hands trembled as I read it again. I called James Morrison, an old friend and real estate attorney. One look at the deed and he sighed. "This is a bad forgery," he said, "but a forgery nonetheless." He brought in Sandra Blackwell, a forensic document examiner. She confirmed what we feared. The signature was traced, the notary seal was fake, and the witnesses were fictional. We dug deeper. That's when things got dirty. The county clerk who processed the forged deed, Robert Delroy, had recently bought himself a $60,000 fishing boat. Not bad for a guy making $40,000 a year. Surveillance footage showed Patricia meeting with him multiple times in the weeks before the deed was filed. We had our proof. While we quietly built our civil case and shared evidence with federal investigators, Patricia moved quickly. She changed the locks on my family's cabin, posted no trespassing signs with my name specifically banned, held HOA meetings on my deck. Neighbors sent me photos of her sipping Chardonnay in my grandfather's rocking chair while dictating new neighborhood fines. I wanted to storm in and throw her off the porch myself, but James urged patience. We filed for an emergency injunction, submitted everything to the feds, and began our quiet march toward justice. The FBI doesn't take forgery lightly, especially not when there's bribery and public corruption involved. Meanwhile, our forensic accountant uncovered even more dirt. Patricia had been embezzling from the HOA for years. She used HOA funds to pay for her daughter's wedding, her kitchen renovation, and, ironically, the bribe to Delroy. Every receipt altered, every ledger tampered. With our evidence stacked high, I requested a judge to freeze Patricia's assets, her accounts, investments, and her prized Mercedes. The judge also ordered her to stay off my property. That at least made her pause. Her house of cards came tumbling down fast. The HOA board, once her loyal subjects, turned quickly. Her vice president, Tom Gwynn, suddenly recalled irregularities. Treasurer Linda Washington discovered boxes of hidden receipts. Neighbors shared horror stories, fines for chalk art, double-charged penalties, threats over holiday lights. Then came the bombshell. Patricia had done this before. The FBI found similar fraud in 2 other HOA communities where Patricia had served. In Riverside Commons, she manipulated deed filings to steal a communal garden. In Oakmont Estates, over $80,000 in funds had vanished, coinciding with Patricia's purchase of a luxury timeshare. Even her own family flipped. Her daughter, Melissa, testified that Patricia laughed about stealing my cabin, calling me too soft for lakefront. Her husband filed for divorce the day after her arrest. Her sister produced recordings of Patricia detailing her scams like war stories. The civil trial was deliciously thorough. James tore down every document she'd faked. The judge awarded me full ownership, legal costs, and $450,000 in punitive damages, money that would come from selling her own lake house. Poetic, really. Then came the HOA's reckoning. At an emergency meeting, every homeowner showed up, even the recluses. One by one, they shared their experiences. Marcus had been fined $3,000 for his kids' chalk drawings. Sarah Peterson had receipts showing duplicate charges. David Kim showed threatening emails from Patricia over string lights. The board voted unanimously to remove her and launched a forensic audit. It revealed nearly $500,000 embezzled over 8 years. While potholes formed and benches rusted, Patricia lived like royalty. The criminal trial was swift and brutal. Prosecutor Amanda Reeves didn't miss a beat. She presented everything: forged documents, bank transfers, surveillance photos, and text messages where Patricia literally bragged about her schemes. Delroy's testimony was especially damning. He admitted Patricia bribed him at his daughter's soccer game. He was desperate to pay off medical debt. He called it the worst mistake of his life. Patricia tried to appear composed, but the jury wasn't fooled. She was convicted on every charge: property fraud, forgery, bribery, embezzlement, and racketeering. 12 years in federal prison, $1 million in restitution, a lifetime ban from ever serving on another HOA board. When the bailiff approached with handcuffs, Patricia screamed so loud the courtroom shook. She accused the judge of bias, blamed me for everything, and shouted that her roses would die without her. I walked out without a word, drove 40 minutes north, unlocked the door to a modest cabin, and stepped into the past. The lake shimmered. The dock creaked like it always had. The wind still whistled through the weather vane Patricia once fined me for. Some places, no matter how hard others try, can't be taken from you. If you've ever had to fight for what's yours, you know how satisfying it is when justice is finally served. Subscribe for more true stories where the good guys win and the bullies get what's coming. And if you think Patricia Holloway got what she deserved, hit that like button and help spread the word.